Hey guys, it's your Peacekeeper coming at you with the next video in our How to Play series on the Japanese destroyer lines. This is the Wakatake class of destroyers, and this is the Tier 3 destroyer. The Wakatake class destroyer comprised of 23 planned, but only 8 completed destroyers built from 1920 to 1945. The Wakatake was a lower-cost, smaller displacement companion class to the Umikaze class destroyers. The ships were nearly identical to the preceding Momi class destroyers, except that they had a deeper draft to improve seakeeping in heavier seas. In terms of their service history, the ships were primarily used as Chinese coastal waters anti-sub patrol boats. And of the 8 completed ships, 1 capsized and sank in a storm in 1933, 1 was converted to a patrol boat, 4 were sunk due to U.S. submarines, and 1 was sunk due to air attack. Only Asagao survived the war and was broken up in 1948. Interesting to note that Asagao also was sunk by sea mine and razed. In terms of their in-game performance, the Wakatake's primary strength is the ability for her to maneuver and her speed. She is by far the most maneuverable of the Tier 3 destroyers, as well as having a very fast top speed. She also has very good concealment, and her shorter range torpedoes are slightly faster and carry a heavier punch than Umikaze's torps do. And she also has better gun range, but overall I feel that the ship is a downgrade from the Umikaze, and to play her well is really difficult, for lack of a better phrase. Let's dive on into those stats. She has 8,200 hit points, next to no armor. Her main battery consists of 3 120mm 45 caliber length guns with a range of 9.4 kilometers. They do have a 10.8 second reload time. We'll just say that the Japanese ships aren't known for their very potent guns. At least not when it comes to reload speed. Their torpedoes, she has 2 dual launchers for a total of 4 torpedoes. They are 533mm in diameter. They do 9,067 damage compared to the roughly 6,000 damage of Umikaze. However, their range is shorter at 7 kilometers instead of 8. Their speed is faster at 57 instead of 52 knots. She does have some AA guns, and the Wakatake can see aircraft carriers. However, it's really worth noting that Japanese destroyers, with the exception of a Kazaki later, don't really have the world's greatest AA complements. That really wasn't something that the Japanese focused on until way late in the war, certainly well after these ships had been built, and really, these ships and their uses, they wouldn't have had much use as anti-aircraft escorts anyway. The maximum speed is 35.5 knots, which I'm sure includes... Nope, doesn't include the speed flag. And the turning circle is a very tight 470 meters with a rudder shift time of 2.7 seconds. Her detection range by sea is 5.9 kilometers and by air at 2.5 kilometers. In terms of upgrades, Main Armaments Mod 1 is definitely the primary choice for this first slot for that reduction in the chance of your torpedoes and main battery becoming incapacitated, as well as increasing their hit points and decreasing the time it takes to repair them. And in the second slot, I would recommend taking Propulsion Mod 1. What this upgrade does is it reduces the chance of your engines becoming incapacitated by 20%. It also reduces the time it takes to repair your engines by 20%. And if you've played destroyers before, you'll know that your engines get taken out quite a lot. Heck, even if you've not played them before, if this is your first destroyer line, your engines get taken out enough that having an extra reduction in the chance of your engines getting taken out completely will help you survive. And then, of course, when you combine that with preventative maintenance, that chance of them getting incapacitated drops even further, which is just a huge benefit to you. Anyway, like I said, I don't really feel like the ship is an upgrade from the Umikaze. I think the Umikaze overall is a better ship, and I wouldn't hesitate to take Umikaze into a Tier 3-4 fight. However, I think that this ship could use a slight buff to its torpedo range, and I think that would pretty much eliminate my fears. If I remember correctly, Wargaming said that the reason why there's all these weird range things going on with the torpedoes, it's because the torpedo sizes are changing in the total number of inches of diameter, and they don't want to give too much of an advantage to these larger torpedoes outside the damage that they do. So that's why we're seeing weird changes, and we will continue to see weird changes until Tier 6, basically, with the torpedoes. Anyway, enough of me talking. Let's dive on into the battle video. Alright, so one of the things I forgot to mention in the first part of this video is exactly what does Wakatake mean, and it means sprouting bamboo, or bamboo sprout, which is kind of an interesting name for a destroyer. Of course, all of these ships had very interesting names. The Yuri means black... Oh, sorry, that's the fourth of the Wakatakes, which is Kuretake, which means black bamboo. Sane, which means rice sprouts on May. Sawarabi, which means bracken on spring. Asagao, meaning morning glory. Yugao. Ipobumio alba? That's not even in English. I'm not even sure what the heck that means. But anyway, they've got some pretty interesting names. I've always liked the way that the Japanese have named their ships after things. And it's a lot of fun to do some research on their names, but I like that bamboo sprout. That's such an interesting name for this destroyer because it is so small and it has such a tight turning radius, and it oftentimes feels like it's made out of bamboo. Now this is a Tier 3 match, and well, there's not a whole lot of battleship going on in this match. There's only 2 of them. And that means that landing hits with torpedoes is going to require a heightened level of skill, given the fact that my only targets available are cruisers. And that's not to say it's not impossible, especially at these lower tiers. If you have any experience playing destroyers or any experience with the game at all, using the destroyers, torpedoes, it's usually not too bad at these lower tiers, since you got a lot of new players. In fact, you feel kind of guilty. This battle really isn't all that indicative of the capabilities of the ship in the average hand, simply because I've been playing these ships enough that I'm so used to using the torpedoes, and playing at low tiers against newer players really isn't fair by any stretch of the imagination. Anyway, again, you can see one of the fun things to do with the torpedo indicator lines is to go ahead and use it to figure out where exactly a ship is going to be. Now you'll notice there that I launched one at that cruiser thinking, oh, well, maybe he's there, but what I saw was that there were several destroyers that were going to pop up around this island, so I went ahead and panic launched a set of torpedoes, and here we are. We're going to jump in this other Wakatake's smoke, and we're going to go ahead. What? We got a torp pit on someone in the smoke. Just as a polite reminder, if you are going to sit in smoke, make sure that you are prepared. And I don't think that was actually in the smoke. Now that I look at it, I think that was torpedoes launched on the other side of the island. That first set of 2 that I launched, which is an interesting result because I totally wasn't aiming at any destroyers over there. I was aiming at a cruiser. But hey, I'll take it. I ain't gonna complain about sinking a destroyer right off the bat. That only helps us, and it's a dev strike. What's not to like about that? The torpedoes do reload reasonably quick. However, I feel obligated to point out that the reload is longer than Umikaze, so it's a lot more difficult to just spam torpedoes like you could on Umikaze. Now, when you have smoke, you might as well use it. You've got guns. They have a reasonably good fire chance. Please use them. And also, before you launch torpedoes, make sure to double and quadruple check that your friendlies aren't in the way, and don't launch and hit your friendlies. Now, I'm waiting for him. He's clear. We're clear to launch our torpedoes. We're going to launch them behind because you can see that the node that tells us where to aim is showing that he is going to turn to his left, our right, and I want to put torpedoes where he's going to be. And in order to do so, well, you got to take a little bit of intuition, but for the most part, it's a lot of practice and skill. Now, it doesn't look like we're going to get any torpedo hits this time. Torpedoes are up in 12 more seconds. Those torpedoes missed. So, he is thoroughly distracted. Oh, hey, Samson. Here's a good size comparison. Samson and Wakatake are pretty comparable in size. Whole boatload of torpedoes coming in, and Samson nearly taking off my nose with his. We are once again going to launch torpedoes. You see that I've bracketed him with the torpedoes. I got one set on one side, the other on the other side. My hope is that if I hit him with these torpedoes, that they will, I'll at least get one hit. And we're going to use the smoke that was conveniently laid here to get out of the situation. And no torpedo hits. Fascinating. We are not having any luck with torpedoes, but hey, we've managed to start fires on things. We're up to 18,000 damage, and our torpedoes are almost up on reload again. And what you're going to see me do here is we are going to launch torpedoes. And once again, we are hoping that we get some hits, and I can already tell that the chances of receiving hits are pretty slim. He's turning away. Now it's pretty much a guarantee that we won't. So we'll sit in this smoke. I've popped my own smoke to lay my own smoke, and we'll just sit here and we'll continue to shoot at him then. If you can't get hits with torpedoes, you have to rely on your guns. Of course, the main objective of this map is to cap their point, but there's only so much we can do in a destroyer without a lot of support. And as you can see, all of our support is on the opposite side of the map from us. And there's another fire. Okay, so that ship is now down. We are going to once again launch torpedoes, and, well, we're going to see what we can hit. Now, this Novik is a cruiser, generally speaking. Trying to gun down cruisers in a destroyer, especially Japanese one, is a risky business, but we are in smoke, and there is nothing to counter our smoke. And we have launched torpedoes at him. The hope is that they will find their home. Will they? It's hard to tell. I keep beaching myself here. I want to say this is tactical beaching, but the reality is it's really not. And no! Okay. Still not getting any luck with torpedoes. Someday we're going to step this up here, and we're going to get ourselves some good old-fashioned torpedo hits. In the meantime, since we are not the focus of him, we will go ahead and try and gun him down. I think he was trying to shoot the torpedoes thinking that they were like speedboats or something coming after him. That's not how those guys work. Down goes the Novik. This leaves us with Weymouth and Umikaze and 2 destroyers, which who knows where they're at. It's really not a good place to launch these torps. Oh, there's one of the torps. And checking the mini-map here to see where he's going to end up. We're going to launch him down that channel. We'll see what happens. Oh. That almost looks like he was going to conveniently beach himself. Well, maybe we'll get some torpedo hits with those maneuvers, with that slowing down and trying to, avoid. We might get some hits. Who knows? We're up to 31,000 damage, which is well above the server average, so that's good. A lot of that has been in gun hits. Again, showing the strength of the guns. Not necessarily that they are the strongest thing in the world, but just that their use does produce results. Also, definitely keep your head on a swivel. Be watching for friendly torpedoes, because friendly torpedoes are not friendly. And, again, always look at the mini-map to get an idea of where the enemy ships are in relation to which direction they're heading. Nope, there we took off a little bit off of that Savoy. Well, we're going to go over to the cap then. If they're going to be jerks, we'll go around to this side. And you want to use island cover, especially at these lower tiers, and really in all the tiers. You want to use island cover to engage these ships. And using it to ambush them and to take advantage. Oh, okay. And launch some at this Umikaze while we try and gun down this Savoy. Generally speaking, not easy to do. However, sometimes you'll get lucky. You'll notice the gun accuracy isn't particularly good either, and that is a bit of a problem. However, okay, we landed another hit on him. We've got some help from a friendly, which is good. And we are wiggling and waggling to try and avoid taking any further damage. And we've started him on fire, which I'm sure will cause him to blow his repair. And he is turning broadside, which can only mean one thing. There can be only one. So one of the more frustrating aspects of this ship is the fact that the gun's turrets don't keep up with the traverse of the ship. And yep, there's another 900 damage. Frustrating accuracy here. Nope, got nothing there. All right, well, Mr. Bamboo Sprout, what have we got? Well, we're going to take this last bit and I'm going to show you how to YOLO rush a Umikaze. And unfortunately, we don't get the kill if I remember correctly. We're going to use our stealth to approach him. He has fired at us, but to no avail. Also, one thing to remember is Umikaze's secondaries are absolutely ruthless, and it wasn't until after this video that I remembered that. And you'll see the tactic that I employ here is we want to close as close as possible. And I'm trying to get in front of him because I know his front guns were the ones that shot at me. I also know that they will have a hard time keeping up with me, which is going to force him to open up a little bit. Okay, so now he's shot and his main guns have missed. His secondaries are firing. And we are going to go ahead and we are going to go to the far side of him because you see he's turning in like a smart guy is. We're gonna go to the far side of him and we are going to launch these torpedoes. And we're going to launch them as close as reasonably possible. And well, we got 3 torpedo hits, but no kill. We are going to go ahead and pop our smoke. Of course, proximity spotting means that I have to get to 2.5 kilometers before I can no longer be seen. I know I don't have to worry about his main guns. I have to worry about his secondaries. 2 kilometers. Poof, I disappear. Nice. So we took off a huge chunk and then the game ends. We almost had ourselves a Umikaze there, but anyway, 59,007 damage, 4 torpedo hits, only 1 sink, dev strike, high caliber, 968 base XP. Here's the detailed reports. You can see how much damage was done by fire, 16,702 damage just in fires. Okay, that's the server average just in fires. Use those guns, guys. Anyway, like I said, I personally prefer the Umikaze to the Wakatake, but the grind for the Wakatake is really not that bad, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If nothing else, use it for good torpedo practice. Anyway, I'm your Peacekeeper. You guys know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching.